It's the Friday before the election. We're doing a happy hour discussion. Join us. The stake starts now. Welcome, everyone. We are, I can't believe, 4 days away from the election. It's been crazy. And we said, you know what? Let's do a Friday happy hour and hang out with some folks. We'll grab a beverage, keep ourselves a little zen, talk about what's been going on, because this has been an insane week. And it's always insane the week or 10 days before an election, especially a presidential election. But Donald Trump and MAGA always amplify shit by tenfold. It's just been lunacy.
Yes. And I always make the comparison to Tara. If you know the musical Brigadoon, where every day in Brigadoon equals 100 years everywhere else, that's what this feels like. This feels like political Brigadoon. Every day is 100 years, and I can't keep up with it.
I love the Brigadoon example, because we both love theater. In politics, we say that a week is a lifetime, but the Brigadoon reference encompasses all of that, and all of our fabulous theater friends will understand that.
Exactly.
Well, today actually is going to be a little bit more fun, because it's not just going to be Michelle and I. I'm Tara Setmayer. That's Michelle Kinney. We co-founded the Seneca Project. We also have our National Press Secretary, Mallory Hagan, with us, and one of our top senior advisors, Rena Shah, joining us to come hang out and chat.
I'm going to bring them in now.
Yes, let's bring them in now.
Hello.
There they are.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Some of us are a little more fabulous than others, Rena and Mallory, because Michelle and I are we're like the women that have been working and slaving over this the whole time. We don't care anymore what we look like at this point, and then we bring you all on to bring the fabulousness. And
exactly.
I think it should be known that both Tara and Michelle see me every single day looking like a hot mess express. So thank you for giving me a reason to put on makeup. Appreciate it.
Happy to oblige. Rena is fabulous and always glamorous. But happy Diwali to you and everyone, all of our Indian American friends.
We're about to go celebrate, so that's why I had to bring a little sparkle.
Yes. Well, you always bring sparkle, honey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies, this has been a wild week. It really, really has. And I kind of feel like I know. I mean, starting with the fascist Palooza rally on Sunday, it has been all downhill from there. And Michelle was telling me today that internal Kamala Harris polling is showing there has been a shift since Sunday that is making them feel a little more confident. Now, of course, I don't believe shit until election day and the votes are actually counted. But I think that there has been a shift, because the country has seen the collective insanity and darkness and awfulness of MAGA in that 5-hour shit show on Sunday at Madison Square Garden, that the cascading effect from that has legit made people go, wait a minute. I don't think we want that.
No,
I don't know.
I have the tweet here. I can read this really quick.
Yeah, let's read
go
it.
into it. So this is from Matt Visor, who is from the Washington Post. Senior Harris campaign officials say campaign's internal data show them winning by double digits among battleground state voters who made up their mind in the last week. Focus groups, officials say, show damage to Trump from Madison Square Garden rally and Puerto Rico comments. Harris campaign clearly views Madison Square Garden rally as a turning point among late-breaking undecided voters in ways that's giving them confidence in the final days. Quote, "It really broke through," end quote, senior campaign official says. Quote, "It helped gel their feeling about this race," end quote.
That encourages me, because it means that sane Americans are paying attention and going, no. And that's what I'm counting on. Rena, you still have Republican friends. You're our resident Republican. We love you anyway, because you're sane. You're sane. That's our metric. You're sane.
Well, it used to not be this way, right? You remember that.
I know. It's just, it's a lot. It's craziness. But what are you hearing in your Republican women's circles? Since, you know, that's what we've been trying to talk to these folks in the battleground states to be like, it's okay to vote for Kamala. But what are you feeling? What are you hearing in your circles?
You know, contrary to popular belief, I do get out of the Beltway quite a bit. I mean, I've been here 17 years. I do talk to folks, and I want to go ahead and tip my hat. This is my first time with Mallory Hagan, who I have heard so much about, and I'm so glad she joined the fight with us. So it's our first time interacting, and I'd always heard so much about her. And obviously, when she mounted her run and did so courageously, my first thought was, my husband's from Alabama. So, you know, we keep deep tentacles in my native West Virginia, his native Alabama. I have loads of girlfriends I came up on Capitol Hill with. And this is the part where I think a lot of people like to hear, hey, Rena, did you just come to the swamp as like a regular creature? I never came as an intern. I just showed up here one day, got a public policy job that was paid a stipend, and it was pretty healthy at the time, I'm not going to lie. But I had to take a job as an aerobics instructor as well. I tutored kids. I did all those things. But meanwhile, I gravitated to people that I felt were different than me. And so I became friends with a lot of folks from urban areas because I thought that's what a girl does when she comes to the city. But inevitably, working in Republican politics, you're going to meet your natural types from rural areas, folks who've been homeschooled. And so a number of my girlfriends are still in the southern part of the United States, came up here, did fellowships, did internships, worked on the Hill, went back south and had families. And because I'm a young mom who's got really, really young kids, these women, I end up talking to them about homeschooling because they homeschooled their kids during the pandemic and afterwards. And these are the ones I'm listening to. I want to know from them, what is tipping the scale with you all? And with your friends, because these are professional girls, okay?
Yep.
I shouldn't say girls, women.
Yeah.
Sorry about
our
that.
ad is called American Girl. It's all right. We don't denigrate women and girls. It's okay.
It's like, you know, these are my homegirls. I've been deep with them for 15 years now. And when they're telling me, hey, we don't like what we're hearing from Trump and Vance. We think it's silly. We think they're fumbling the ball. But by the way, how ridiculous to attack IVF, which a number of my girlfriends, and, you know, I've gone through my own challenges with whether it's conceiving or, you know, anywhere in between the pregnancies. We're talking about it a lot more, but we don't appreciate when then these men come to us with this line of, hey, little girl, sit down. Because we're already having to be dealing with that in professional spheres for a while. And particularly, I think Southern women, it's like, hey, I took enough. Okay. I was on News Nation the other day with Mick Mulvaney and Dan Abrams. And hell, I almost jumped through the screen. I'm telling you, these guys were lecturing me about bodily autonomy. And I'm thinking to myself, and I even said, hey, Mick, I've been a card-carrying Republican since I was 18. I thought this was the party of freedom. And I can be like former New York Governor Mario Cuomo and say, I'm anti-abortion for myself, but I'm pro-choice for other women. And I have seen this streak in the South. So now I'm going long, but that's my way of telling you, I'm listening to folks inside the Beltway, people who are Dem operatives, R operatives. They're telling me they do think there's the rise of the repro voter. And we know the Harris campaign is counting on that voter to deliver the win for them. But in the southern part of the country, it's a mixed bag. I don't know that these people are making their minds up until Tuesday when they're in the ballot box and they're saying it's done, it's time. I really do think it's coming down to the wire for them.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
I
just wanted to show some early voting data that CNN shared in the swing states between women and men. I just think it's really, really interesting to take a look at that in this conversation too.
Today, MSNBC called it the battle of the sexes. And we've been talking about this, that the Trump campaign made a calculated decision to pit the men against the women. And they're basically telling us this. Charlie Kirk, we talked about this earlier this week. Charlie Kirk said, you know, that it's, hey, bros, like, if you want Kamala Harris to be president, then don't vote. But if you don't want that, you know, the women are the majority of early voting is female. Like, that's so horrible because these guys hate women. And it's obvious. And women are going, yeah, okay, underestimate us if you want to, which is why I think our American Girl ad has been so impactful. The response has been incredible. And it's all organic. Love that. We have a small team. We don't have PR people out there. We don't have big $1 million mega donors financing us. This is a grassroots, small upstart effort where we are telling these stories and they are resonating. The content is resonating with women. And Mallory, you're one of these Southern women. You're in Alabama.
I
am. So, and I think that down there, it's a little bit of a different dynamic. It's not a battleground state, but even for you in Alabama, there's a dynamic there. With women.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting because while we all know that Alabama is a red state, we're not crossing over anytime soon. I do think it's important to note that the conversations that we're having, especially among women who look like me, who are in my age group, I'm 35, a lot of us have gone out and come back home. So there is groundswell of conversation happening among women who have had trouble conceiving, who have had miscarriages, who have dealt with the throes of what it means to really be at odds with your reproductive system in a lot of ways. And so many of them are quietly saying, this just isn't cutting it for us, or they're really good friends with the Katie Britts of the world, and saying, I used to be a Republican and maybe publicly I still am, but I just can't do it at the ballot box this time. And I actually want to point out what Sherry said in our comments on Facebook. Sherry said the Republican Party started attacking IVF. All Republican women were like, wait. And now they're starting to realize that this has never been just about abortion. And I think, unfortunately, one of the issues that we all know the Democratic Party has is sometimes we really struggle with messaging. So kudos to Kamala and her team for repeating the same lines over and over and over again, because that is messaging. But one of the struggles we've had is not being able to nail the Republican Party on what it is that they're doing. And I think for the longest time, getting the message across that this wasn't just about abortion was something we really failed at. And it's really unfortunate we're having to use the stories of women around the country that are very tragic in order to do that. But I think people are starting to get it. And I think people in the South are starting to get it.
And speaking of another story today in ProPublica, this time a teenager, she's 18 years old, pregnant, went to 3 emergency rooms, was turned away. And it says it took 3 ER visits and 20 hours before a hospital admitted Nevaeh Crane, 18, as her condition worsened. Doctors insisted on 2 ultrasounds to confirm fetal demise, which means no heartbeat. She's one of at least 2 Texas women who have died under the state's abortion ban. 18 years old.
I suspect that there are going to be a lot more women who we find out about that have died or have lost their fertility because of this shit. And the more these stories come out, the more the ripple effect of this. When you have Liz Cheney, who we're going to talk about what Trump said about her in a second. When you have Liz Cheney, who is like insanely pro-life, she's voted, pro-life her entire career, super conservative on this issue. When she's coming out there campaigning for Kamala Harris, telling pro-life Republican women, listen, I understand, but this has gone too far. This is not sustainable. Everything was notional until Dobbs, until Roe was overturned. People didn't realize what the real world effects of this would be. It was all kind of an academic exercise. And now we're seeing it. Women are literally dying.
I also want to point out, though, that those of us who were saying this is what's coming, we're being told, no, it's not. They're never going to do that. You're being hysterical. That's not going to happen. And it is a little bit infuriating at this point to go, we were telling you this is going to happen.
I mean, for Rena and I, we were probably on the same side of this issue where we were like, it's not gonna, like, Roe's never getting overturned, and let's see how we can, some of this has gone too far with abortion. I know I've evolved considerably on this issue the more I learned about what that meant after Roe was overturned and how that applied. I was one of those people that said I didn't think that abortion was healthcare, and then I realized abortion's healthcare. And he started changing the messaging.
Pull that thread, Tara. I think
Yeah.
that's a really strong point you just made, because now that I'm married to a physician, I mean, I'm the daughter of one, sister of two, and married to one. It's like, gee, could I be more of a black sheep? But look, we all have our talents, right? Like, I was never going to look at blood and be able to do that. But I tell you this, the criminalization of physicians is where we ought to be talking to people.
Yes.
We need to understand this in the simplest of terms. How do you really get to people when, see, folks like Tara and I, when we were on the Hill, and when you did evolve, or when we made the evolution, right? And when you're there and you're like telling people, hey, this just doesn't smell right. I was accused of engaging in hyperbole. And I'm like, hold on. I know I'm young. I know I just got here, but y'all hired me for a reason, right? Like, working brain. And for me, it's the application of logic. So when I was a young staffer, when the Affordable Care Act was getting passed or getting crafted, I was in a Republican member's office. See, because this is what Liz Cheney knows.
Mm-hmm.
We were using the talking point. Of course, she wasn't on the Hill then, but 2008-ish, we are using the talking point that there's nobody else that belongs in an exam room except a doctor and a patient. And that is very sacred. No bureaucrat belongs.
Right. We don't want the government coming in.
Yeah, and you're literally talking about putting doctors behind bars when they're looking out for the patient's interest. So we're so just far past the whole phrase of just don't have sex, or, oh, it's unconscionable that Roe will be overturned, so don't worry about anything over there. Don't worry about that movement, March for Life, and all that. They're just up here being passionate. They got lucky. They got lucky with Trump. And then they got their justices. They want more. We see them wanting more in Arizona with a draconian ban that goes back to the 1700s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 1800s.
1800s.
Yeah, sorry. I mean,
but the Comstock Act that they're trying to go for is still out there. That's what they would ban birth control under. But go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where I have to stop this, because it's that simple. When I'm going out and talking to people, I'm not really trying to be, I'm not trying to sound like an expert. I'm not trying to sound like a know-it-all, because we all four do know a lot more than most people on this, right? We just have to meet people where they are. To me, it's a simple thing of, when you go see my husband in a clinic, and he's coming to you with with his medical advice that he believes is sound, and you're taking because you believe it's sound, do you want this outside authority to come in there and meddle with it? We already know insurance companies have this massive big hand in all of this, as we all know.
Yeah,
which is really infuriating and not part of this conversation. Could be at some point.
Yes.
Because when the Affordable Care Act was getting passed, I mean, look, this is the Republican me. I was pretty upset with Barack Obama for really kowtowing to America's health insurance plan, having them right there in the Oval Office. Look, both sides. I'm not going to do that both sides-ism on that. I'm just saying there's bad actors everywhere across the political spectrum. We're not going to pick off one for one minor infraction. We're going to zoom in on today's Republican Party that is lying to us, because this election is about trust and priorities.
Yes.
We cannot trust Donald Trump, because today his answer is, I promise you guys, I'm not going to do a national ban on abortion.
Yeah, right.
I cannot trust this human. I know I call him Cheeto, whatever, all that. But when I'm talking to people about flipping their vote, denying Donald Trump a re-entry to the White House, I'm just saying to them, do you want my husband and his colleagues to be behind bars if they need to make that decision to save the mother's life? How do we feel about that?
Right.
I think we all feel pretty much the same.
Yeah.
I also, though, think that, and this is something I've experienced in my direct messages, people coming to me personally and saying, this is like not really happening. There are a few stories that are getting, pushed out there, but this isn't really the issue. And I think what people need to understand is that when a reporter calls you, when something like this has transpired in your life, in order for that story to get out there, it requires that family says yes.
That's right.
People can't just write a story about your medical life and your medical history and something that's transpired in your family without you giving them permission to do so. So the stories that we're hearing are just the ones that they've been given permission to share.
That's right.
Excellent.
Yeah. And have the courage to share.
And have the
because
courage.
That's another part of this too, is having the courage, because a lot of people, it's a lot easier just to be quiet and kind of go back to your life and not deal with it and move forward. But to be able to speak up and to say something, this isn't right, and stand up against power and speak truth to power. I mean, that takes a lot of courage. I mean, look at Ryan Hamilton,
I was
our
just going to
friend
say,
in Texas, had tweeted the other day that he has had to step away from the campaign and any political speech until after the election. It has been
for the safety of his family.
For the safety
he was advised,
of his family,
which is insane.
Yes, he was advised.
Yeah, I was going to say, like you also become a political punching bag, and people call you a liar, even though this is trauma that you've experienced.
Crazy. They called his 1-year-old baby a slut. Like, what? I laughed at first because it was just so insane. I'm like, what? Like, reading it, I couldn't believe it. And you know, Mallory, to your point of people saying this isn't happening, I'd love to play a clip of J.D. Vance was on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day, and he talks a little bit about this, and it's just.
Wasn't it just yesterday?
Was it yesterday? Girl, I don't know. What day is it?
Hasn't happened.
I have no idea. Anyways,
the concept in the zeitgeist is that abortion had always been, you know, Roe v. Wade had always been the law of the land, and then all of a sudden that was taken away, and you have these religious men who are trying to dictate what women can and can't do with their bodies.
Yeah. No, look, I mean, again, I understand that. I understand the pushback against that, but I think you can go, like with so many other issues, you can go way too far about it, and it becomes trying to celebrate something that at the very best, if you grant, I think, every argument of the pro-choice side, it is a neutral thing, not something to be celebrated.
I think there's very few people that are celebrating.
I mean, when Joe Rogan's fact checking.
Right. He said a lot of wild shit during
yeah, I have another clip here about, I would actually just like to
play
this. I'd like to play this just so I can make a comment about it.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if me and Trump won just the normal gay guy vote because, again, they just wanted to be left the hell alone. And now you have all this crazy stuff on top of it. If you are a, you know, middle class or upper middle class white parent, and the only thing that you care about is whether your child goes into Harvard or Yale, like obviously that pathway has become a lot harder for a lot of upper middle class kids. But the one way that those people can participate in the DEI bureaucracy in this country is to be trans.
Okay. So the idea that people are having surgery in order to get into these colleges. Listen. I mean, I know parents will go.
I mean, is that not the stupidest thing you've ever heard in your life?
I had not seen that. I don't know if you saw my face while I was watching that, but
Michelle has a theory anyway. I mean, as you know, if you look at us right now on the screen, we are America right now. This is what America looks like. And none of us are fucking DEI hires ever. So the audacity of these men in MAGA to continue to assert that and diminish our accomplishments as women and women of color in this country is infuriating.
Also, I just want to ask, what is a normal gay guy?
Yes, right. What is a normal gay? And like,
I have a lot of gay friends, and I would
so do I.
I went to theater school.
Yes. So Michelle has a theory. I just wanted to say that part on behalf of women of all shades and accomplishments here. That they can fuck off with their insults of us about DEI hiring. And
the DEI thing is just so crazy. And if anything, they kind of project imposter syndrome onto us, which then makes us paranoid, and then they weaponize it. So it's just a lot of fun, like a nice little hamster wheel to be riding on. But my theory, I'm not going to come out and say it because then I'll get in trouble, but I just feel like he talks about gay people more than gay people talk about themselves. Like, I just feel like he is talking more about
self-soothing.
It's feeling very much like a projection of what. I know. I'm
saying it. I've been saying it.
I don't think that J.D. Vance has any idea who he is. And I think even this never Trumper kind of bullshit that he was talking about before, I don't think he believes that either. I think it was just fashionable at the time. And I think he just goes wherever the wind is going. But I think this is the deep-seated, you know.
One of my favorite comedians many moons ago on YouTube, before there was any other way to watch people make their own content. His name is John Roberts, and he has this hilarious character that he does that always says, "You gay, you gay." He moved into the city and now he's gay. Right. I just feel like that's the phrase that comes up when I look at JD.
But can I tell you my favorite part of this entire campaign so far is when Walz was named And shortly after, he came out and he said at one of the rallies, I think maybe the first big speech he did together, he's like, where I come from, we don't write bestsellers or, you know, books aiming to be bestsellers aimed at trashing the community you come from.
Right.
Because I'm from West Virginia and I've never read Hillbilly Elegy, never watched it on Netflix. I don't want to watch that. I love where I come from. It's complicated. It's messy. It's not what it used to be when I grew up there. It's riddled with problems, which I wish it weren't, but I would never trash it. It's the place I come from. And I, you know, I didn't have the problems that he had, which was a mother that's overridden with addiction, and it complicated every part of his life. And my heart really hurts for him for that, because
he's broken from it. He's never healed from it.
From that.
Yeah.
And I get that I didn't have that. So I'm not trying to say, hey, like he should be like me, don't trash where you come from. But really, it's anti-American to trash where you come from. America's still young as a country. We're an idea. We're an experiment. If you love this country, you don't trash your community, because in the 80s and 90s, because JD and I are the same age, the streak of Americana through rural America is so strong. So for him to go out and write that was such a grifting moment, one where in which I think he probably battled some inner demons, because he's like, I want to be someone so bad, but this is the way to be that. And when Walls called it out, I swear to you, I mean, maybe just because it connects with me, that was brilliant. I think it's one of the best politically sound things he did. And I kind of wish more people did that and be like, hey, you're a grifter. You wrote something to get big. You idiot. Like you know, and the way he talks about Usha, I mean, yesterday was Diwali. We're celebrating it this weekend. He talks about her coming to Catholic church with her. He has benefit from her and her family structure so much, and he doesn't let on. The other night I was with Chris Cuomo on his show, and we're talking about childcare after that town hall he did with JD Vance. And I'm like, Chris, like JD missed the opportunity to talk about childcare in America, and caregiving in America, which Kamala Harris does every time she takes the stump. She talks about how complicated it was with her mother having cancer. Kamala talks about the sandwich generation in a way that makes me want to be in tears, because I have gone through that with my late father, my late father-in-law, and young kids. And as you know, Tara, I just feel like these guys, are they not listening to their advisors? I don't think they are, because he missed the opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I get it. And by the way, childcare is so expensive that we called Usha's parents up and had them literally pinch hit for us all the time, so I can be a U.S. senator and she can be a high-powered lawyer. But no, these people are not real. They're fake.
But
and
you know why?
To themselves.
But you know why?
Because they expect it.
Life. Well, no, he hates his life. He hates his life. He does that look like a guy that loves his family and his wife? He talks about them like they're props, like they're in the third person. He never says our, mine, we. It's like the kids, her baby, kids. Like there's something off. There's an emotional disconnect there that comes through. There's a certain inauthenticity about that whole thing that's just fucking weird. And like and for him to have his wife, who is a woman of color, right? Yeah. To sit there and take that. I mean, I just, and she's accomplished. She's smart. She's accomplished. And he just
clerked for Kavanaugh.
I know. Well, I mean, she can work that out later, but I'm just saying she's smart and accomplished. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Rena, I'm going to give you the last word. I know you have to go, and then we'll hang out for a little bit longer, but I'll give you the last word and we'll continue.
I'll just say this, guys. I mean, this is an election in which all we see from one side is driving fear, right? And American women, we're all four of us. I know that. And so many of you all watching, like this is the part where I paint with a broad brush. American women are practical. We are the best women in the world. I'm sorry. Now I sound like a big old patriot and I get all in my feels, because we have had this beautiful country to give us opportunities. And I know a lot of us are struggling out there. And I listened to the Univision town hall where unfortunately there was a woman who was homeless, and she said right away in asking her question to Kamala Harris. And it just makes you realize though that there's a resilience in us, that despite whatever any of us American women have gone through, the adversity, we know we live in a beautiful country. We show up for it. We have movements that have brought the four of us to live the life we live today, because those women walked on water.
That's right.
They did what felt like the impossible at that time, right? And so I just say, when we're trying to convince people, when we're trying to change hearts and minds, all we can say is there's fear on one side and there's love and practicality on their other. how are you going to reject that? Because Diwali, I know it's actually a Hindu-based festival, but Sikhs and Jains and even Buddhists sometimes, they do celebrate it. It's a festival that is the festival of lights, and it's about the victory of good over evil. And that's what I'm hoping is going to happen on Tuesday. I'm praying for it. And, I just think that's all I can leave you all with, is that we need more love and light in this world. And that's why the choice is very clear. Let's go out and press that message on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Rena.
Thank you, Rena.
We love you.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Give Natish and the kids a big hug for us.
I sure will. Thank you all.
We'll see you later. I think this is a good time to play American Girl. She teed it up.
I was just thinking that. Let's do it.
Yep.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American girl?
I do.
I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart stops to walk the white and American girls. What are we gonna do? Every heart.
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?
Never gets old.
It never gets old. I was reading some of the comments, and Krista Meyer said, I was singing this today while I was doing some yard work. And I was like,
please go download it also from Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere. You can get
you can get the full song. And if you get an opportunity, like, listen to the lyrics. The whole, I wish we could have made an ad for the whole song. There was enough footage for us to do it, but it is just, there's just so much in it. And what's happening right now, the response to American Girl has been overwhelming. Thank you, everyone that has donated and spread the word. Over 1 million, right, Mallory? 1 million views on Twitter, tens of thousands on Instagram and YouTube.
We are, I was doing the math beforehand. We're at 1,230,000 views just from our first post. So for those people who have posted on their own channels or shared.
That's extra views.
It's incredible. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. I did want to address a couple questions.
Keep the donations coming, because we can keep running this until election day. And so every little bit counts, and we appreciate you guys. You guys have been amazing. Sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
No. Sorry. I'm also trying really hard not to sneeze. I just wanted to address a couple questions. I got a question about why Justice Kagan is not in it. And also somebody asked about the other one. It wasn't because we were trying to omit anyone purposely. It really had more to do with firsts.
Yeah.
And so it was like the first female Supreme Court justice, the first Jewish woman, the first Hispanic Latina woman, the first African-American woman. So, and then it goes right into Deb Haaland, who was the first Indigenous Native American woman to hold a seat in Congress. And then obviously she's the Secretary of Interior now, again, the first Native American woman to ever hold a position in a cabinet. So, and it was obviously very important that we included her because, Seneca derives, yes, from Seneca Falls, but Seneca is a
before that.
Yes, is a nation in central New York, as well as, Onondaga, Cayuga. There's many nations within that area, and they were so influential on those women in Western and Central New York in starting the women's rights movement. They were in tandem. So there is so much that we have to thank them for. because obviously they were here long before anybody else was. So I wanted to make sure that we, included Native American women as well. I think it's just so important, especially, for our namesake. So, and we saw that Deb Haaland
followed us today.
She started following us my whole day.
Yes.
So I just think she's so badass, and I love her, and I just love that little smirk on her face.
Yes.
It's like a foreshadow almost. I love it.
In the editing process, when we were going through it, we had to explain to the editors why we wanted that specific video, and that was why, for all the reasons that Michelle just said, and then just her smirk along with the lyrics at that moment just perfectly encapsulated the moment. So yes, there's that. And also we've had Rosie O'Donnell and Connie Chung and John Leguizamo, and who are some of the other people that have liked and retweeted our stuff? Mallory, you monitor this.
Well, Jennifer Newsom liked it earlier today, which is fun. We've had several influencers. So Taryn Delaney Smith has shared, Politics Girl, JoJo from Jers. We've just had a lot of people who have incredible.
I saw Frances Fisher too. She's an actress. She's absolutely fabulous. I saw her start to follow us and just went through our whole account, liking everything. I was
and Ellen Barkin.
And what about March? What's her name?
Stephanie March. Yeah, she was. She's been a supporter of ours for a few months now, and really wonderful. She's from Law and Order, and a really wonderful person as well.
And Michelle and I were interviewed by USA today about women athletes and the impact of this election, and whether Title IX would be under attack if Trump wins, or if MAGA continues this assault against women's freedoms. And so there's a very strong likelihood that Simone Biles and Megan Rapinoe have seen this as well. So it's very exciting, and that's all thanks to you guys. So I wanted to make sure that we gave a shout out to all of that. And my girl JoJo from Jersey, we have bonded over being tough Jersey girls, and she's been an incredible supporter of ours as well, and we love her. There's just 1.5 million views off of her account alone.
Yeah,
that million views that we got is not even counting her 1.2 million views that when she retweeted our thing. It's been incredible. So thank you to them.
Amazing. And I did want to show really quick. So Tara, yesterday, if you want to talk about, you were in Charlottesville yesterday speaking on a panel.
Yes. So yesterday, I was down in Charlottesville. It's where we pre-taped the show. We are live right now, though. But I moderated the panel. It was a post-documentary discussion. The documentary was called Defenders of Democracy, The Thin Blue Line. And it chronicled the story of the 4 January 6th officers who testified in Congress. Harry Dunn, Daniel Hodges, Michael Fanone, and Sergeant Aquilino Ganell. And also the widows of 2 fallen officers, Brian Liebengood, and 3 fallen officers, Liebengood, Sicknick, and Jeffrey Smith. And it was one of the most emotional, difficult hour and 15-minute documentaries I've ever had to sit through, because you're basically reliving January 6th. And officers Hodges and Ganell were there, and the widow of Jeffrey Smith was there, Erin Smith. And then you see there the 2 documentarians who made the documentary, and it was incredible. Virginia UVA does a big film festival every year, so this is one of the films. UVA helped produce it. An anonymous donor gave the money to produce it. It's such an incredible story, and no networks would pick up the documentary because they were too afraid that if Trump wins, there would be retribution.
Oh my God.
Yes. So guys, it is one network picked it up, which is PBS, and in the DC market, and hopefully it'll get out there to other PBS stations, but stream it, go check it out, go support it. And hopefully there'll be greater distribution later, but it's incredible. So I had the chance to moderate the discussion, have dinner with them, and spend some time. They are all incredible heroes. And just to hear their stories and what they went through and how they were treated by the Republican members of Congress. Not one Republican member of Congress besides Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger would meet with them. Not one. So just remember who the patriots are.
Yeah.
Just remember when you go to vote.
And on that note, there's just a 20-second clip here that happened last night, and I think we should talk about it.
Yes.
And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter. But his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know,
Okay. So I'm going to say this and then I have to hop because you guys know I have to go somewhere, but I'm going to say this about the Liz Cheney comments. First of all, Liz Cheney is part of the UVA Center for Politics, and it is a huge privilege for UVA to have her there. And I made sure that American Girl got to her. The other thing too is that this afternoon, the Arizona state attorney, or the Secretary of State of Arizona, decided that I think that this may be illegal. You're not allowed to make those kinds of threats. They are investigating whether what Donald Trump said in Arizona is illegal.
I didn't know this. Is this new?
Yes, this afternoon, breaking news. Yes,
Well,
the Arizona state attorney. So that is like insane what he said. Liz Cheney had a response. She said, "This is how dictators destroy free nations. They threaten those who speak against them with death. We cannot entrust our country and our freedom to petty, vindictive, cruel, unstable man, who wants to be a tyrant." This is part of the bullshit that's been happening all week, starting on Sunday. I mean, it's been going on for a long time, but all of this stuff every day, Donald Trump has got increasingly more insane and more threatening and more dark, and so have his people. And he also threatened to go after Jimmy Kimmel and arrest him. When Donald Trump posted on Twitter, "When will you arrest and indict Jimmy Kimmel, who spread false election information to millions on his show?" This is insanity, people, but this is what Trump really wants to do.
He's not joking.
He's not kidding. So kudos to Liz Cheney for never backing down. She's a tough one. And, you know, we could have differences. I know a lot of our Democratic and liberal friends had differences with her before, but we're all on the same team now.
That's how I feel. I mean, I can't think of a thing I agree with her on outside of, I mean, she's very conservative. But you know what? If we're one issue voters on democracy and like not living in a fascist country, yeah, okay, sign me up, Liz Cheney.
Right. Nothing else matters.
Wherever.
Nothing else matters. And
nothing matters.
So she gets that. She put her political career and her own safety at risk to do it. And we applaud her for it. And I want to say thank you to Alyssa, who in the comments said that she was at that event that I moderated yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for coming. And I hope that you were as moved and fired up as I was and everybody else there to make the right choice on Tuesday. On that note, ladies, I am handing it over to you. Cheers to happy hour, and I will see everybody in a couple days.
All right.
It's so weird to be here without Tara.
You'll be fine.
What will we do?
I don't know. Oh, and then she's gone. Oh my goodness. Well, Mallory, there's a couple more things that I wanted to talk about. And one of them was J.Lo's speech in Vegas last night. Did you see it?
I watched most of it. It's just so past how Jennifer Lopez and my mother are the same age. And sometimes I look at her and I'm just like, how? And
wow. Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean,
totally an aside to the
it
message.
also helps to be a bajillionaire, but
that's true.
She people are so unfair to her. I am a big fan of hers and have been. She won me over in the wedding planner. And I find that, again, she is labeled, as many women, powerful women are, diva, difficult, snooty. And she calls the shots in her own life. She funds her own projects that she wants to do now. She has so much money. Good for her. And, you know, I don't know if you watched that halftime documentary that she did about the Super Bowl, which again, if you just see how hard this woman works, and then, you know, some of the personal
and how intentional.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And also just, you can almost tell in her voice that she's going through some personal stuff too. And I you know, there's been rumors in the paparazzi, all these other things. And again, her relationship with another very famous man is put all on her. She's difficult. It's all her fault. And I don't think that's fair at all, because nobody knows the truth. But it's like the Meghan Markle syndrome all over again. And so her speech last night was so impactful. The clips, and we can watch both of them. So I'll play the first one.
Madison Square Garden, he reminded us who he really is and how he really feels. It wasn't just Puerto Ricans that were offended that day, okay? It was every Latino in this country. It was humanity and anyone of decent character. Look, I'm a lover. You guys know that about me. I'm a lover. I am not a fighter. I am not here to trash anyone or bring them down. I know what that can feel like, and I wouldn't do it to my worst enemy, or even when facing the biggest adversary I think America has internally ever had. But over Kamala Harris's entire career, she has proven to us who she is. She has shown up for us every day, for the people. And it's time for us to show up for her. It's time for us to all answer presente. I am an American woman. I am the daughter of Guadalupe Rodriguez and David Lopez, a proud daughter and son of Puerto Rico. I am Puerto Rican. Soy boricua carajo. And yes, I was born here, and we are Americans. I am a mother. I am a sister. I am an actor and an entertainer, and I like Hollywood endings. I like when the good guy, or in this case, the good girl wins. And with an understanding of our past and a faith in our future, I will be casting my ballot for Kamala Harris for President of the United States proudly. Proudly. You can't even spell American without Rican. This is our country too, and we must exercise our right to vote on November 5th. Please. And remember, somos una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Let's get loud! Let's get loud!
I just love her.
Yeah. Well, you can tell she's a little like flustered.
Yeah. Nervous, but like in a good way, I think.
Yeah. I appreciate her passion. And, you know, she and A-Rod, when they were still together, were huge proponents of President Biden and helped President Biden elected. So this is not her first foray.
Right. I remember she performed at the inauguration in 2021. She's saying "Let's Get Loud" in like another American song. I remember being like, "What?" But it fit. It was fine. It was great. So.
But I really appreciate her, and I personally appreciate all celebrities who are using their voice and their platforms to encourage people who may not otherwise be paying attention to get involved and be active and really demonstrating how much is at stake.
It's insane. And while we're on this topic of J.Lo, I'm just going to play the other clip because I feel like we've never seen her like this. We've never seen her like this. You know, just watching her speak, to your point, it's like almost like she's flustered, and I don't know, it just makes her all the more relatable. So I'm going to play this too.
Matters. And look, don't be afraid to make people around you uncomfortable. Invite people around you to be the change, to go out there and vote. Nobody likes having tough conversations or talking about politics, but trust me, I've been in some of these rooms. I see the way power works in this country. They love it when you do nothing, okay? A non-vote is an agreement. it just makes it easier for them to do whatever they want, whatever serves them. And this election is about your life. It's about you and me and my kids and your kids. Don't make it easy. Make them pay attention to you. That's your power. That's your power. Your vote is your power. Make a plan to vote early, okay? If you have a mail ballot, sign the envelope, return it to any drop box in your county. It is too late to put it in the mail, okay? Tomorrow, Friday, November 1st, is the last day to vote early in person. If you can't vote early, make a plan to vote on Election Day, November 5th. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Find a vote center or ballot drop box near you at willvote.com/NV. I will vote. I'm sorry. I will vote. You are absolutely right. I'm sorry, I got carried away. Let's do this, Las Vegas!
So flustered. So
flustered. And like, I just, again, I just feel like we've never seen her like this. And it was just so relatable. And I remember I was watching it this morning when I was catching up, because obviously it was very late, although I was up, I wasn't watching that. And just, again, feeling extremely emotional. I feel like everything's making me feel, lately, because there's so much on the line.
Well, I think for people like me and you and many of us probably who are watching, we're taking it all in, right? It's just, it's a fire hose or a fire hydrant of everything that is bad and wrong and terrible. And we're seeing it all. And it's hard to imagine the people in our lives and our communities who only see one or two pieces. And so that's why I totally agree with her. And I'm so happy she said, don't be afraid to make it comfortable. Like, for instance, I live in Alabama, as we mentioned earlier, and my husband and I had lunch with some friends that are his friends not too long ago. And I wore my Kamala shirt, and I didn't know their politics or anything. And I just thought to myself, first of all, I run for office, so they must know this about me. But I also we are at an inflection point. We are literally on the brink of fascism. And if it's going to make people uncomfortable around me, I don't fucking care. Excuse me. We are at a place where we have to have these conversations. Yes. And luckily we did. And luckily it was all fine. And everyone was, well, I like your shirt. So
right.
Even somebody who is very outspoken, who talks about these things and does this all the time, I hesitated. So I know if I did, that the people around us are really having a hard time in this moment. So I'm just really glad that she encouraged people to have those conversations and to say something, because you never know. You might say the thing that gets them to the ballot box on the right side of history.
I could not agree more. And I also loved, and I know this is something that you can relate to, I loved where she said that a no vote is an agreement. And she's been in rooms with people with power, and they love when you do nothing. And for those of you watching, if you don't know this, Mallory was Miss America in 2013? 13. And there were a lot of changes in the organization.
You can't see there she is.
Oh, there it is. There's the crown. Oh gosh. So pretty. So pretty. I know the Miss America crown is like very special. Like none of the other crowns look anything like it. But Mallory was Miss America, and she went through a lot of changes in the organization and a lot of there was a lot of toxicity, and she came out the other side and spoke truth to power in that organization and the people who were running it for so many years. And there's a documentary that you're in that I watched. I remember the night it came out, I was like, I think I bought whatever service it was on to watch it live. And Mallory is incredibly brave and courageous. And it's just another person and an example that we should all follow in terms of being able to speak up for ourselves. So I just wanted to point that out. And if you're watching and you're interested, just Google that. I think it's something about Secrets of Miss America or something like that. And I was incredibly moved by it, and I'm in awe of you all the time. So
thank you. I think it points back to, even those of us who are used to standing strong and in our power.
Mm-hmm.
I can see how for somebody who that's not their nature, I'm an Enneagram. Right. I am like on fire all the time, ready to fight,
Yeah.
And I just know that's not everyone's nature. And it takes a lot of guts for people to stand, especially if it's their family, if it's their father.
Oh my gosh.
If you're battling that and you're watching, or somebody who is, like, we see you, we hear you, and we're so close. Just have the last minute conversations. We're so close.
Yeah. Did you watch, there was a clip with, I forget, she was a reporter from somewhere, and she went into a barbershop and she was talking to this guy who worked at a barbershop, was given a haircut or something. And he was like, I don't know about, like, women. I don't know if she can be, president because she's a woman, something. And he was like, and the reporter was a woman. She said, really? And she said, oh, okay. Well, don't you think about, like, women who run households and all the things that they do, and they keep everybody together? And he sat there for a second. He said, you know what? You're right. I never thought about it that way. You're right. She can be president. Women can do anything. And I was like, watching it in real time, this man had an entire epiphany in about 40 seconds. It was incredible. I wish I had the clip. Maybe I'll pull it for next time we're doing this. But
I saw something similar.
Yeah.
I saw something similar, and it was in regard to Black men in the country and the way that President Obama sort of came to that demographic and said, what are we doing? Women have raised us. Women are the head of our household. And I've seen lots of content like that since, where women specifically are saying, who raised you? Who was the person who made sure you got from point A to point B? Women are the ones in our lives who have kept this train on the track.
Yes. We're the glue.
And I mean, our boys have had someone in their life tell them that women can't be president because women are, quote, too emotional. And to me, it's so crazy. I can't fathom that thought process, but there's plenty of data out there that shows that when women come to the table, they are more collaborative, there are better outcomes. And so I just think being able to have those conversations with people about the real work that women do in our lives, in our households, in our communities, how organized they are. Women are very capable of leading.
Yes. And I, the emotional argument, right. And the emotional argument is always so funny to me, because do you know how many men I've worked with that are very emotional? They just show it differently. They just show it differently. They have hissy fits. They have temper tantrums. They yell. They retaliate. They do all different kinds of things. So, and also just look at Donald Trump. He's one of the most emotional people we've ever had in that office ever. He reacts to everything and is triggered and offended by everything. And it's like a whiny little bitch. Yeah. So with that note, I will say, my internet is kind of sucking. Am I like freezing a little bit at all? I don't know.
No, we're seeing you.
All right. Well, it keeps telling me my thing is unstable. But anyways, I wanted to take a very quick jaunt down memory lane here with Kamala Harris, because I am very annoyed with the fact that they keep calling her low IQ. Because I'm just like, were people not watching when she was senator and she was on the Judiciary Committee? Were people not watching?
They weren't. And the people telling her low IQ know that. They know that they weren't watching.
Right.
But I don't know how anybody with 2 brain cells can know that someone went to law school, was a DA. Like, you don't get that by being low IQ. You don't pay people $150 to $300 an hour to be low IQ.
Correct.
When you're a lawyer, you expect them to be somebody who's intelligent, and that's exactly what she is.
Yes. And I have 2 clips here from when she was in the judiciary. The first one kind of speaks for itself, where she dresses down the attorney general at the time. It's great. And just Watch Cory Booker's face because it's chef's kiss.
Oh, I can't wait.
Or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone?
I wouldn't.
Yes or no?
Could you repeat that question?
I will repeat it.
Yeah.
Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone? Yes or no, please, sir?
The president or anybody else?
Seems you would remember something like that and be able to tell us.
Yeah, but I'm trying to grapple with the word suggest. I mean, there have been discussions of matters out there that they have not asked me to open an investigation, but
Perhaps they've suggested,
I don't know. I wouldn't say suggest.
hinted,
I don't know.
inferred. You don't know. Okay.
So good.
I like her
Cory
face.
Booker's just like,
You've not looked at
I've
the
seen a lot
evidence.
of
We can move on.
prosecution.
I
I've
think
seen a lot of
you've made it clear, sir, that you've not looked at the evidence, and we
in
can
my
move on. Did you consult
Well, that's
with I'm not finished.
Yeah.
Did you consult with DOJ ethics officials before you enlisted Rod Rosenstein to participate in a charging decision for an investigation, the subject of which he is also a witness?
my understanding was that he had been cleared already to participate in it by the.
So you had consulted with them and they cleared it?
No, I think they cleared it when he took over the investigation.
Did you
That's my
consult?
understanding.
You don't know whether he's been cleared?
What?
Did the ethics officials in your office, in the Department of Justice, review the appropriateness of Rod Rosenstein being a part of making a charging decision on an investigation, which he is also a witness in?
I am informed that before I arrived, he had been cleared by the ethics officials.
Of what?
Of serving as acting attorney general on the Mueller case.
How about making a charging decision on obstruction of justice?
That is
the
what the
underlying
acting
offenses, which include him as a witness.
You know, that's what the acting attorney general's job is.
To be a witness and to make the decision about being a prosecutor?
Well, no, but to make charging decisions.
I have nothing else. My time is over.
so good. It's so good.
I think I love her like steely.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to get past me. Look,
Mm-mm.
I think she's got she's got the balance of the joy and the humility and the fun and all of that, but she also like do not cross.
Don't mess around with me. I will eat you. I will eat you for supper. And I was going through all of the kind of famous Kamala moments when she was on the judiciary, including the Jeff Sessions one, where he's like, "You're asking me too many questions too fast. You're making me nervous."
I'm too nervous.
So great. So Keebler Alpha Femme. So, and then obviously this one is my most favorite. It's all of our favorite. I'm just going to play this.
That give government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm happy to answer a more specific question, but
Male versus female?
there are medical procedures.
Okay. That the government has the power to make a decision about a man's body?
I thought you were asking about medical procedures that are unique to men.
I'll repeat the question. Can you think of any laws that give the government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
I love that. Thank you, Jay. Jay says, I love the way she makes these jerks stutter.
Yes, they all do it too. Bill Barr.
Everything about his face is just like walking down the street in Alabama.
Oh, you know?
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I know
exactly
that
what you
guy.
mean.
I know that guy all too well.
Yeah. And again, that's why we included in our American Girl ad, Christine Blasey Ford and Anita Hill, who are two women who famously stood up during these confirmation hearings for Brett Kavanaugh and Clarence Thomas to share their experiences. Because again, it could be so easy to watch these guys sail through and not be held accountable for their actions.
All right, and they weren't held accountable.
No, they weren't. But these two women sacrificed so much. Yeah. And Brett Kavanaugh too is like, I mean, he was part of the Ken Starr commission against Monica Lewinsky back in the day. He was part of that whole thing.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, which disgusting what they did to her. And you know, I remember watching the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation. This is just funny, and I'm not really funny, but full circle. This was in 2018. And I was going through my miscarriage at the time when I was sitting on my couch watching Brett Kavanaugh get confirmed. And I remember the women in the hallways of Congress screaming at Jeff Flake in the elevator. I don't know if you remember that. They were just screaming at him and he was just cornered. Mm-hmm. And this woman looked at him right in the face and said, "Tell me I don't matter. Tell me what happened to me doesn't matter." And it was him that, you know, had said, okay, let's open an investigation for a week or something. And it was like, you know, the whole thing was a sham. We found out later anyways. I think it was Sheldon Whitehouse who's come out recently in the last couple of months. And, you know, there's evidence that the whole thing was sham. They never looked into one single call that came in. But I say all that with like, we knew what was going to happen when all of this was happening, when they were confirming him and Amy Coney Barrett. And elections have consequences. And we are living them.
I think what's so important is, you know, we've got a lot of people who are abstaining from voting for various reasons. And one thing that really, really gets under my skin is young people who are not voting, who don't think that any of this impacts them, or they don't have to deal with this now. It's something they'll deal with when they're out of college. I cannot emphasize enough. I mean, I talk to college kids all the time in Alabama who say, I don't know, I'm not registered, or this doesn't have anything to do with me. And I cannot express enough that, like, your cell phone is political. The apps you're using, the door frame that you walk through is by somebody who is a politician, right? Like,
that's right.
Everything in your life, right down to the air you breathe and the road you drive on, is political. And so if you're watching this and you have young people in your life, oh my gosh, please make sure they vote.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It gets under my skin. I can't fathom it.
It's wild to me. I mean, I always think like young people have more to lose than anybody else. And in our interview with USA Today, Tara and I did today, we were talking about this. I was like, you may say you don't care about politics, but politics sure as hell cares about you.
Yeah.
And it will come find you.
Politics is going to do you, baby.
Right. Yeah. And so you have to be aware. And that's why storytelling and like the ad that we made, American Girl, is so important. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Is so important. And we try to include women from every walk of life and every part of life that we are connected to, because we have to meet people where they are. Because sports might not be something that people are thinking about would be affected by progress or regression, but it certainly has been and could be again. So these are all things that we have to be thinking about, obviously. And so, you know, it's Mallory. I mean, can you believe we're 4 days. We're 4 days.
I'm ready. And also I know that it doesn't matter what happens on Tuesday. Our work will not be done here at Seneca. No. We have big dreams and goals for the future of what Seneca looks like and how outside of ads we'll be making an impact. So please,
and
we need your
Yes, we do need your help. And this sounds really depressing, and I don't want to go to the bad place, but I think it's important to just root ourselves in reality. Is this, even if she wins, and hopefully she does, the backlash from her win is going to be enormous. I mean, I think about when Barack Obama won, what happened in 2010 with everything that they pulled. And it was the birth of the Tea Party, which has led us to the moment we're in. The gubernatorial races that were lost all over the country, which then, affected gerrymandering, which then affects Congress. I mean, the backlash of a woman president, a woman of color president, they are going to double, triple down on all of their efforts that are very well funded. And we're going to be looking at, extremely
very
organized and patient. And these people are patient. They will wait. They don't get tired. They play the long game. So, I think when she wins, we can celebrate and we can enjoy that and then get to January 20th, because that's a whole nother thing. But once she's there, we really have to arm ourselves as we move forward in this fight, because it is long from over and it's going to be generational. So I say all that with, it is Friday. It is 6:15 in New York City. It's 5:15 in Alabama.
And
it is time
so
yeah, I mean, I barely drink anymore because I'm in my 40s and I just can't, because it kills me. So I've had a few sips here and my face is all kinds of Irish red here. So
Elle and I are both bonded over the fact that we're Irish girls who turn red, and I absolutely
just immediately. I mean, you can't really see it, I guess, on a computer screen, but ooh, it's warm.
I have mine too.
It's warm.
I have mine too.
So
it out.
Yeah. And we have friends coming tonight from Chicago to stay with us for the New York City Marathon this weekend. So, full weekend. And you are going to be speaking tomorrow in Alabama. I don't know if you want to tell people about that, if there's any Alabama people watching.
If there are Alabama people here, first of all, hello. But I'm speaking tomorrow. There's a women's march, women's rally here in Alabama. In Montgomery at 1:00 Central Time. So I'll be speaking and I'm talking a little bit about my own story, my own battle with reproductive care. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the people there who understand the moment that we're in, and they're looking forward to voting for Kamala Harris on Tuesday. So yeah.
Fantastic. See, even in Alabama.
Yeah. Yes. And Alabama is one of those states that's got a lot of sleeper Dems.
I believe it.
We're here. And
I believe it.
Loud. Unfortunately, not very organized, but we're working.
Listen, you have to start somewhere, right? I mean, it's the birthplace of the civil rights movement is in Alabama, and them some footsteps to walk in. It's shoes to walk in and shoes to fill. It's got to start somewhere. And the Democrats, we struggle, but I remember you were telling me the other day, it's about building from the ground up, and you can't win if you don't start. Yep. So
the answer is ask. It's all those things. You eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Exactly. Well, with that said, we will part ways. Tara and I, maybe others, we'll see. We'll be back Sunday evening to do a recap of whatever crazy stuff happens this weekend. I'll bring some pictures for the New York City Marathon, and probably somewhere around 7:30, I think we'll be live on Twitter and YouTube again. Mallory, it is always a delight to have you here. We survived. I survived without Tara. Oh my God.
Nobody tell her. Don't tell her we survived.
Don't tell her. And we hope that you'll continue to support the Seneca Project. Please share, like, subscribe to us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're on TikTok. And if you can, we would love to be able to spread the word of the American Girl ad and get it to as many eyeballs as we possibly can, to women in swing states as we, truck on through to Tuesday. So every little bit counts. So everyone have a great weekend. We'll show you American Girl on the way out.
Bye.
See you Sunday.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American girl?
I do. I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart stops to all the white American girls. What are we gonna do? Every heart.
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?
It wasn't easy getting here. The loss, the heartbreak. My wife is tough, resilient. She said, we'll just keep trying. I didn't know much about IVF until we needed it. There were moments when all hope felt lost. But we finally got our miracle. From the moment I held her, I vowed to protect her. If it were up to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, our little girl wouldn't even exist. They don't care about the joys, the sacrifices. They only care about their control over our lives and her future. Who the hell are they to tell us how or when we become moms and dads? We know what's best for our families. It's time to stand together, not with any party, but as parents. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz get that. That's why this fall, I'm voting for her. I'm voting for hope.
In July 1848, courageous women came together in Seneca Falls, New York to start a movement. They dared to fight against treatment as second-class citizens. After decades of struggle, women fought and won the right to vote, to work without discrimination, to control our bodies, to even open bank accounts without the permission of a man. Each one was a triumph against those who believed we didn't deserve them. Well, today, those hard-fought victories are under attack. Donald Trump and his allies are determined to send us back to a time when we had no say, no freedom, no choice.
I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Do we want a future where our daughters have fewer rights than our grandmothers? Where their bodies are state property? Their voices silenced? Their opportunities erased? We say hell no. We won't go back. This November, we must take back what is ours. For ourselves, for our daughters, and for the pioneers of Seneca Falls. It's up to us.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? There has to be some form of punishment.
From the 6 a.m. practice to the away game pickup, from her first goal to the state finals, from the big wins to the big lessons, we take care of all the little things. We do these little things so our daughters can achieve big things. We do all of this for their future. And this fall, that future is on the line. We have come so far, but we have one big thing left to do for our daughters. Their rights are on the ballot, and we won't go back. Not now, not ever. This fall, we will go for the gold, and we must win for them.
The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and ended a woman's constitutional right to an abortion.
We trust women.
There's a threat facing women in America that transcends party lines.
My country doesn't care about me.
And it's time we ask ourselves, do we still value the freedoms we have fought so hard for?
We should all have the care that we need.
This election is a choice, and it is a time for choosing. We're told we have to choose between left or right, but we know what the real choice is. It's a choice between our freedom or their control, between our right to determine our own destinies or Donald Trump. So seriously, America, what the hell are we doing? We can't sit on the sidelines while women in America suffer and die because a right we once had has now been criminalized. If we don't make the right choice, there's no state to escape to. There's no going back. Choosing who will shape our future is a right we still have left. For now. And that choice is up to us.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American?
I do. I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart slows to all the red, white, and American girls. What are we gonna do? Every heart.
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?
This election, it will come down to the women turning out in the battleground states.
We know that when women show up, we win.
We've got one job to do. We have got to beat Donald Trump and elect the first woman president of the United States.
We have work to do. We have doors to knock on. We have people to talk to. We have phone calls to make. And we have an election to win.
It is a brand new race.
It's a moment that I feel like people are energized.
Kamala Harris is bringing that energy.
Women are fed up. This is their lives. This is their body on the line.
Birth control is at stake.
I cannot vote for a man who rolls back women's reproductive rights.
If Trump gets the chance, he will sign a national abortion ban, but we are not going to let that happen.
Abortion advocates are going to come out even harder for her because they know that she has been their champion in the White House.
The government should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
It was Kamala Harris that was cross-examining the very nominees that became the justices that overturned Roe v. Wade.
Vice President Harris, former prosecutor. Donald Trump, convicted felon.
I will proudly put my record against his.
She has overcome and overperformed and been underestimated at every turn of her career.
She's broken and smashed glass ceiling after glass ceiling.
And for all of those people asking, is this country ready for a woman president? Is this country ready for a black woman president? Well, you better get ready because Madame Vice President is coming your way.
The choice is in Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
Her pick is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
He's affable. He's likable.
He's joyful.
He is a veteran, a hunter, a father.
He is a football coach.
He's a former high school teacher.
This is not a coastal elite guy.
He won in rural Minnesota over and over and over again.
They see people less fortunate as scapegoats and punchlines for their jokes. We see them as neighbors.
You have my pledge. As long as I am governor, IVF will continue to be a lifeline of hope for families just like mine.
Thank God for IVF. My wife and I have 2 beautiful children.
With Tim on our side, we're unstoppable.
One of the most productive governors.
Minnesota today codified abortion rights.
He cut taxes for working families.
Passed universal background checks on guns.
We have universal breakfast and lunches for our children, all the children.
What a monster. Kids are eating and having full bellies so they can go learn, and women are making their own health care decisions. This is preaching to the choir, but the choir needs to sing.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American?
I do.
I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart belongs to all the red, white, and American girls. What are we gonna do? Every heart.
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?